One book versus 100 training courses to become rich. But not only, because I could also add 100 productivity courses, 100 note-taking courses, 100 personal development courses, 100 sales courses, closing courses, copywriting courses. And if you don't believe me, I will read you the best parts of the book for free to convince you. This book costs $26. The majority of training courses today, 2024, 2025, 2026, cost $997. Let's round it up to $1,000. So yes, this book will save you more than $90,000 on training. Why should you believe me when I tell you that this book sums up 100 business training courses? Because most of the training courses already available are repetitive and similar and have been created on the basis of copies of American training courses. American training courses have the unfortunate reputation of already being the basis of vast Ponzi schemes. They are revolutionary only in terms of Alex Hormozy's style marketing. On the other hand, when it comes to the substance of the training, well, it's old hat. It's something you've already heard elsewhere, like the book called Personal MBA. Why that name in the first place? Josh Kaufman is the author, and that's what motivated him to write this book. He wrote this book so that you don't have to pay $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 to go to business schools like HEC or Harvard. And he summed up the program of these universities with 99 business books within your reach in 452 pages for $26. You heard me right. Here it's the opposite of the trainers. Why? Because you can sell a book for $1,000. It's not possible. On the other hand, $1,000 for a training course is an average price, almost a basic price today. $1,000 for training is not even a high-ticket item. A book costing more than $40 is a high-ticket item. The book is 400 pages with no repeats in written format, so there is no humor and you get straight to the point. So where do you think your money should go in the first place? You don't have to read the Personal MBA just once. Why? Because the Personal MBA is like speed reading if you read it slowly. Why am I telling you this? Because you've got such a big treasure in your hands, a monument in your hands. You don't have to read it in 30 minutes in the evening when you're tired for a week. That's rubbish. That's why you're not making any progress. We may have read the same books, but we don't have the same trajectory because those books took me my whole life to finish. I will read you all the sources for the Personal MBA to prove to you that yes, there are 99 business books inside, condensed into 452 pages for $26. You will see how many parts are covered. The first chapter is on setting up a business. There are 6 books summarized, including Lean Startup, for example, which is a monument to online business by Eric Rios. We continue with part 2, value creation and experimentation. Then marketing with Seth Godin's All Marketers Are Liars. You know the author. Everything is summarized in the Personal MBA. The sales module, the delivering value module, finance and accounting, the human spirit, productivity and efficiency. I told you that in the intro. Problem solving is my favorite part with the 80-20 principle. Behavioral change, decision making, communication, yes, for all the shy people, introverts and people who lack confidence, it's all summed up here. You can get an all-in-one package for $26. No need to pay $1,000, $1,500 to change your life. Power and influence, negotiation is also one of my favorite sections. Management, leadership with Tribes by Seth Godin. But as you can see, there are about 5 or 6 detailed books per module. Obviously, I'm not going to read them all, but at least I will read you all the parts of the book. The skeleton: project management, systems, analysis, statistics, the business world, business strategy, creativity and innovation, design. Can you imagine? I've never seen a book as complete as this. Have you ever bought a book with so many modules in it? This book for real is worth 100 training courses. Consulting, if you have an agency, it's indispensable. Personal finance, as I've said before you can become rich, you must first become rich in investment. It's all very well to earn a living, but you have to realize that in the face of competition that can evolve, in the face of changes in technology like today's, with all the new artificial intelligences that are popping up, the smartest thing is to focus your work on reinvesting what you earn. So that's essential. And we will finish with a final module, personal development, in 3 books. Obviously, I'm not going to include everything because if I did, it would be a video that might last 20 hours in audio. However, I'm going to select the parts that are really useful for young entrepreneurs aged between 15 and 35 who want to develop an online business, reinvest their money, play sport too, have self-confidence, know how to talk, know how to flirt, and why not, be like me in the near future. That is, also be a content creator at my level, dress in a suit, have my experience and my background. The problem with this scroll, the reason why he wrote the personal MBA in the first place, now it's against online trainers specializing in business, is that at university there are 200 students reading the same book. Except that this is a terrible mistake. Why? Because 200 students could be reading 200 books at the same time and not just one. In relation to Maslow's pyramid, there are 4 fundamental human needs when you create a product, when you want to create an offer that is irresistible to prospects. Number 1 is the need to acquire, basically the need to possess, whether it's physical or intangible products. Then there's the need to connect with the community, for example. In other words, today you don't need online training. You need more an online community. Why? Because there may be 500, 1000, 1500 people in the community, but that doesn't have to be 20,000. Why? Because it has to be ultra active, and the founder, the guru type, if you can call him that, has to be there every day ad vitam aeternam. Otherwise, it will be the end of the community. Why? Because a leader today is someone who sets an example for others. It's not someone who gives orders to others. That's not a leader, that's a manager. And managers will be the first to be fired in companies. The third need is the need to learn. You need to stay with content creators, friends, girlfriends, teachers, trainers, influencers, whoever, who can teach you the most new things in 10 minutes. Not the people who give you the best 10 minutes. For example, don't watch very long podcasts on YouTube. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. That's a new fashion. Guys love watching podcasts. Podcasts, man, frankly, I think they're the biggest intellectual masturbation there is these days. Why? You should know. Why do YouTubers make podcasts these days? It's interesting for all viewers. Why? Because you sit down with 2-3 guests and have a chat, just like in a bar. Except that you don't have to be in a bar. We asked an interviewer, would you rather have $500,000 in cash right now, or would you rather spend 1 hour with Jay-Z? The guy said, F Jay-Z. Do you think I would rather spend 2 hours with Anthony Robbins and have him answer all my questions? Or would I rather read 2 hours of unlimited power? Unlimited power is the quintessence of Anthony Robbins' brain, the grail of what he can give you, put down on paper. So what's the point of talking to him? As rightly written in Personal MBA, what I'm telling you here is just a part of my available brain. What I'm telling you is the work of a few neurons in my brain, but not all the parts of my brain. Why do you ask? Because I don't have all my experiences, my data, my information, what I've retained in my head right now. And the first need is the need to defend yourself. Basically, it's the security aspect of your product. Instead of saying, you're going to make a lot of money this year thanks to me, you're going to say, be careful, there's a huge financial crisis coming up. I don't advise you to be 100% survivalist, but I do advise you to buy precious metals thanks to me. Here is what I've got on my side. Here is how you can start from scratch with, for example, $1,000 invested just in case if you're scared. You see, I sold the thing to you in a different way. I didn't say you're going to gorge yourself on money from precious metals. I said, be careful, secure a small part of your portfolio, protect your savings, secure your retirement, and adopt this share that I'm advising you because I've followed it before. In addition, we're combining the leadership side. Everything comes together like in the Personal MBA. The quest for social status influences 80% of our decisions and behavior. A more profitable product is one that enables your prospects and customers to move up the social hierarchy. Here on page 61 are the 10 criteria for evaluating a market. Basically, it's how you choose an online business, how you choose a physical investment. Basically, these are the 10 factors, the 10 criteria before a good flat, before what you want. Number 1 is urgency. To what extent does your offer meet an immediate need or desire for people? Number 2 is the size of the market. How many people are ready to buy this kind of thing? Similarly, the more competitors there are in a market, the more likely it is that the market is viable and profitable. So, as Warren Buffett says, if everyone is looking to the left, all you have to do is look to the right and you will stand out from the crowd. Number 3 is the possible price. What's the highest price a typical buyer would be willing to pay to find a solution to their problem? This is where you start to understand why this book is so dangerous and why it is so little quoted among all the online trainers. Number 4, the cost of acquiring a customer. This is really important. Do you have to pay 500 quid, 200 quid, 100 quid, 30 quid or 10 quid for each customer who comes to buy your product because the pricing of your product will depend on it? How easy is it to win a new customer? Number 5, the cost of delivering value. How much do you think it costs to create value and deliver it in terms of time, money and energy? Number 6, the originality of the offer. How unique is your offering compared with the competition's existing offerings, and how easy is it for your competitors to copy you? This is the question that makes you the most money. Why? Because you can be the first on the market, but if it's really easy to copy you, there's no point in putting your heart and soul into it. Number 7 is speed to market. Basically, how quickly can you create something to sell? In my case, at the moment, I'm working on my books. It's not at all intelligent to create a book today unless you take 2 weeks to write it, especially with AI. In my case, I'm doing it for the authority it will bring me in the long term. On the other hand, it's not profitable. It's 100 times more profitable for me to make a YouTube video and even just earn money from the monetization it offers than to write a great book like the Personal MBA. Number 8, the initial investment. How much will you have to invest before you're ready to sell your product? There are often people who believe in their ideas far more than they need to, and these people are almost self-sabotaging. They will go into a very expensive business, a time-consuming business, a business that will require even more training to learn, even more books to read. No, that's nonsense. It's better to lay all your cards on the table. Either you're here to sell a product or you're here to become an expert before you sell your product. But there's nothing in between. Number 9, that's super clever. I had not thought of that at all. The potential for additional sales. If you write books, is it easy for you to supply other books to the same customers? If you sell an online training course, is it easy for you to recreate another one? Take Ozai TV for example. It started out with a course on Amazon FBA, then developed a course on tax expatriation because the students who are making the most money with its Amazon FBA course, which is an online business based on dropshipping but in stock mode, were looking for solutions to the problem of how to expatriate themselves to pay less tax because the survival of their business depends on it. And number 10, the potential for persistence. Once you have created your initial offering, how much more work are you going to have to put into it to keep selling it? If you keep working on a subscription product, but the subscription price of that product doesn't go up, then your extra work doesn't make you any extra money. There, the personal MBA would say to recreate another application or create something to buy as a one-off payment where customers don't expect to receive content every month. This is also the weak point of subscriptions. For me, it's a strong point because it sets you apart from the competition, but in the long term, you won't necessarily be able to keep up. The best way to observe what your potential competitors are doing is to play the role of customer. There are a lot of things you can learn about online business, any business, by becoming a customer, even if you have to pay. In this situation, it's better to be a subscription customer. Why? Because it's going to be easier for you to buy 5 subscriptions and cancel them after 2 months, 3 months, or even the same months, rather than buying 5 online courses and leaving with a $6,000 portfolio. Even if you have been preparing for months, the personal MBA will slap you in the face. Why? Because no business plan survives the first contact with consumers. So what's the solution? There are 5 steps. Number 1 is to ask for feedback from real potential customers, not your friends or relatives or even your family. Number 2 is to ask open-ended questions. Josh Kaufman sets up the who, what, where, when, how, and why system. Number 3 is to keep your cool and calm. If you start arguing, we're no longer in the feedback aspect. We're more in the debate aspect. Number 4 is to take what you hear with a certain distance. You see, he said that twice on purpose. Number 5 is giving your potential customers the chance to pre-order. That's what Mr. Drew Max does, for example. I think it's the first lesson of each module of his new productivity training course, free on his site. It's really interesting. Let's talk about perceived value in the mind of the consumer. Basically, how will they rate you? It's a bit like taking an exam, and you can see exactly what the judges are looking for. Number 1 is effectiveness. Does your product really work? Number 2 is speed. Does your product work quickly? Will I see immediate results after buying it? Number 3 is reliability. Is your product reliable? Can I trust your product? Number 4 is ease of use. Basically, how much effort it takes to be a customer and take full advantage of your product. Think of a sports coach. The aim is not just to sell the program, but also to sell the use of the program. Number 5, flexibility. How many functions are offered? Do I have several options in front of me to make it more suited to my needs, my schedule, and my physical and mental fitness? Even if I'm depressed, can I make a success of your training, your product, whatever you want? Number 6 is social status. How your product, and this is really important as you saw before, influences the image perceived by others. By others basically means my friends and family and my followers on social media. Number 7 is aesthetic appeal. Is your product beautiful and aesthetically appealing? Think about it. Would my customers be proud to take a photo of my product or a selfie with my product and post it on their Instagram account? Number 8, emotion. What emotion does your product give me? And number 9, the cost. How much do I have to pay to get it, to enjoy your product? This was an advice I gave to a very good friend of mine. I told him, don't put your final price on the second edition, the third edition, the first launch, the second launch, the third launch of your product. No, you're building to a crescendo. At the beginning, I think it's very good to offer a few beta testers to collect testimonials too. Number 2, you're building to a crescendo. Think of your product as a test tube. You see it as a mode. You also want to get customers used to using your product, to see that there are no problems, no lies, no asterisks or whatever, and to see that in fact they will get used to your product, almost that they can't live without it. That's what I hope you achieve with your business model. A little message from the personal MBA for all those who are going to say to me, no, I don't like to show off, but I'm afraid, I don't feel like this, I don't feel like that. Part 2, marketing. On page 103, without marketing, no business, so you, your career, your life can survive. Consumers who don't know you exist can buy what you have to offer. If you don't know personal MBA, if you have never read it, if you're afraid to read, if you're not used to reading books, if you don't know my channel, they can sell you anything in training courses at 1,500 quid for a mindset module. You will say, whoa, it's complete, it's an all-in-one package. If you want your message to be heard, take care with the form. Often, you're only as good as your content. Why? Because you produce what you were a customer of before. Once again, be the most stupid, putrid, moronic critic. When you see your product, that's what's most profitable in the long term. We pay more attention to the things that interest us. The aim, even if you create videos, even if you create products, what you want is for you to do almost name-dropping of passion, of activity, of mentor from your prospects towards your miracle solution. For example, it might be, why does Alex Hormozy read Personal MBA? The Personal MBA is basically me. That's the aim of my video. Alex Hormozy or Iman Gadzi may be someone you respect or follow or whose products you've already bought, and I'm going to combine the two. I'm not just doing a video on why to read the Personal MBA. It's all the same in this video. You've noticed that I've made a versus, which is what really works to grab attention. We want problems, we want conflict, people want war, people want blood. I didn't just do a video on Personal MBA, the best business book I've ever read, for the price. That only interests 500 people. What I've done, because there's no telling what the score of this video will be when I shoot it, is a book versus 100 training courses to become rich. The bottom line, people don't buy jewels. They buy the holes they can make with them. That's the metaphor I use the most, or at least that one really stuck in my head. And there are people who didn't necessarily understand this metaphor. Basically, what does it mean? It means that people buy benefits and not functions. What is the benefit? It's, listen, if you buy the Personal MBA, I personally read it 5 years ago. Look at what I have become. Look at what I was before. That's the result I'm selling you. Without those books, I was stupid, poor. The only thing I had achieved in my life was working out. Why? Because working out, no matter what anyone says, is stupid and nasty. You go there, you go to the gym and everything, but it's a lot harder to start an online business. Those who have done both know that. The others will insult me. The real obstacle is not to meet their needs, but to find my customers. What you have to do is not just find new needs. Don't reinvent the wheel. As written in the 4-hour work week, creating a need is difficult. Meeting it is easy. Do you want a little persuasion model? That's what we're here for. I'm going to talk to you about framing. This is what Josh Kaufman did to sell his book, The Personal MBA. He simply said $149,000 less than an MBA. Basically, $149,000 less than a top business school. When you create a tagline, and this is for my copywriter friends, focus on the main advantage of your offer. In my case, to give you an example, it would be no longer be alone in front of the computer. It could be zero interest in reading these 500 books if I have read them for you. It could be everything I know in 300 videos. A word of advice from Robert Greene. If you want an audience, start a battle. Often, you don't get enough views, you don't have enough girlfriends, you don't have enough body counts, you haven't read enough books because you're not controversial enough. There is not enough controversy in your life. So, on the other hand, say clearly what you don't like, say clearly what you love, and you will see that it's in the extreme that you will rally the maximum number of followers. Whether you like it or not, on page 128, market perception becomes your reality. Now, let's talk price. I know you want to offer a high ticket, and I know you might want to offer something free first. There are 4 methods for determining a price. Number 1 is replacement cost. Number 2 is market comparison. Number 3 is present value. And 4 is value comparison. I know you need help to go even further, so I'm giving it to you for free. Really, blow the fucking channel. Imagine that a meteorite falls on your house and destroys everything. How much would it cost you to buy a similar plot of land, hire an architect to draw up the plans, buy identical materials and hire construction workers to rebuild the exact same house? So your exact same house, your exact same product, you add up the total, adding a small or large margin for the time and effort you're going to devote to the project. In the same way, you also anticipate that you may be replaced in 4, 5, or 6 years' time. So you need to do a lot of money for those 5 years. And you will have an estimate of the value of your house, your product, your idea, your business model. Number 1, understand the situation. Number 2, define the problem. Number 3, clarify the short and long-term consequences of this fucking problem. Number 4, quantify the financial and emotional benefits to the customer of solving their problem. That's how to create an irresistible fucking offer. There are 3 dimensions of a negotiation. So we're talking about sales, closing, and copywriting, and communication too. The first phase of any negotiation is preparation. The more you're able to put all the odds on your side before starting negotiations, in other words, to think in the shoes of your future negotiating partner, the better the deal you will reach. Number 1, who is involved in this negotiation? Is the person you're negotiating with willing to trade with you? Who are you going to negotiate with? And does the person you are negotiating with know who you are and how you can help? Basically, What does he know about you? What are you going to offer him and how will it benefit him? What's the context? Are you going to present your product in person, by telephone, or by other means? What factors in the context can influence the negotiation? Are there any recent events or current circumstances that make this negotiation more or less important in the eyes of the person you're talking to? This is really important. It comes from the book Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. It's his other banger with influence. He said that, for example, with the terrorist emergency in the United States after September 2001, you know what happened, the polls showed huge support for much more coercive protectionist measures, almost world government. But 1 year later, nobody gave a damn. People were there in YOLO mode and were enjoying life, wanting maximum freedom for them and their family. Number 2 is the second dimension of negotiation. Basically, it's the design of the deal, the terms of your proposal. What exactly are you going to propose and how are you going to formulate it using framing for your counterpart? Include as many cognitive biases as possible. What are the benefits of your proposal for the other party, the other person? So basically, really think in his shoes, and that's why you need to know as much as possible about him so that you know exactly which button you're going to press in his brain to trick him. What's the other side's second best solution? What's his fallback solution, Sun Tzu style? And how is your offer better? How are you going to overcome the other party's objections? Because there will always be objections and not just about price. You have to stop lowering your price every time right from the start in order to please the person. Sometimes the person is not so sure. So what are you going to do? Are you going to lower the price until it's free? No. What about barriers to purchase? We all have barriers to purchase. Sometimes it's the price that's the easiest because you can put a figure on it. Sometimes it's psychological. Sometimes it's the wrong timing. Sometimes it's a problem with the equipment. Sometimes it's a problem with the person you're dealing with. Are you prepared to make certain compromises or concessions to get an agreement? That's why we often suggest starting very high, but in fact, that's only your first proposal. It's like when you sell a flat. If I want to sell a flat for $100,000, in my head, I'm prepared for it to go for $150,000, but I'm capable of lowering it to $125,000, for example. If someone tells me $100,000, I know he's going to tell me $100,000 because it's a psychological price, just like in crypto. Everything is connected, guys. As soon as you're intelligent, everything is connected. We're going to split the difference so that both parties are happy and the flat is gone in a week, $125,000. But in fact, in my mind, I was ready to sell a flat even at $100,000. As far as the barriers to buying are concerned, this sale starts when your prospect says no. As long as I don't say no, the sale hasn't started yet. That's what Jordan Belfort said. Jordan Belfort is the real wolf of Wall Street. He said that his job was not to turn yeses into yeses, nor was it to turn no's into yeses. His real job is to turn maybes into yeses. I'll think about it into yeses. Frankly, I don't know into yeses. I don't have the time, but why not into yeses. Quality equals performance minus expectations. What is an illustration of this? It's what I'm doing today in my content strategy, for example. I'm not just saying one book versus 100 training courses. I say, and what's more, as a bonus, free of charge, I will read you the best passages from this book. Can you see how I'm exceeding your expectations? And here is where you will think, wow, this is a quality video. I'm not just going to watch it, I'm going to like it, comment on it, give ideas, support the guide behind it, come and see what his community is like and talk about it around me. But if at the outset I had just stuck with one book versus 100 training courses, the video could be great, but there would not be that wow effect. So you really need to exceed the expectations of the prospect or customer. Don't fight for every customer. Don't tell them everything your product or service can do for them. Just concentrate on the 20% that bring 80% results and play up the bonus, play up the wow effect, everything else. The more time and energy you spend, you're wasting your time in. Watching what your rivals and competitors are doing, the less you have to develop your business. There is a quote in Napoleon Hill's Succeed and Grow Rich Through Persuasion that completely traumatized me. And it's from Henry Ford, who says, "I fear only one competitor, the one who looks after his own business." Take it personally. Today, I have a problem with my content strategy, which is that I'm getting fewer views than I used to. That's the truth. I speak freely about it. I take it personally, that's all. I'm ready to move heaven and earth, father and mother, to get back to my premium views. Why? Because I think my videos have done maybe times 10 in quality and quantity since I started. On the other hand, when I started out, I had almost as many views as I do now. That doesn't suit me. It's a disgrace. It's ridiculous. That's why the better your systems, the better your business. It's not because you're going to spend more money that you're going to make more sales. At least that hasn't been the case for me. And number two, you have to spend your money on the things that get you the most clicks, the most views, the most customers, the most savings. Let me give you an example. At the time, 8 out of 10 service providers I worked with were not editors. However, my business is not books. My business is online video. So inevitably, there was a video coming out every month. I will stop at page 184. I've spoiled not even 1% of the book. It's in your Amazon shopping cart, 452 pages, 99 condensed books for $26. No need to study, no need to read other business books, no need to buy training courses to become rich. The promise is largely kept. Easy.